Did you know that there's a story in the Book of Mormon that can be fact-checked? Well, is that good or is that bad? Is that better for the antis or better for the saints? So this video is just to tell you what that story is and how could we actually check it to see if it's real or not. Now, you probably know this if you just think a little bit about the stories in the Book of Mormon. There is one that stands out begging for someone to challenge it or to prove it, and it's in 1 Nephi. You may not be aware of this, but as Nephi is leaving Jerusalem, we know he's going to go to the land Bountiful, he gives 81 different descriptions of topology, geography, and personal experiences that can be tracked. Is that interesting and good? Or is that, holy cow, will we prove Joseph to be a false prophet because nothing jives to what he says? Now let's just refer in terms of what he has gone through, what's in the Book of Mormon. So we know that the family lived in Jerusalem all of Lehi's days. So they're not wilderness survival people, they're nice, wealthy people. They have gold, they have silver, they have precious things, they have a land of inheritance, which is one of the reasons why Laman and Lemuel were so ticked off, because they're losing out on all of that. We know Lehi was a prophet. He's preaching against the people, repent. He's told by the Lord he better leave Jerusalem because the Babylonians are going to come in and they're going to destroy it. Now, right off the bat, a few words come up. And to think of, here's Joseph in Palmyra, and either he's coming up with his story on the fly, or he's thought about it, he has not written it down anywhere, or this is from the translation of the gold plates. It's from God. So he is watching his father, he's telling the story that he sees his father go through, and they decide they're going to go. The whole family. The boys, the girls, mom and dad. And he's talked about Babylon. He's talked about Hezekiah. There's walls around the city of Jerusalem. He's making statements that he can't know in Palmyra in 1829. So are all those things true, and all the things on the travel be interestingly true or not? So the first word is we're going down, and we would take that as south, and we'll verify that in just a little bit. So the family leaves. Did they ride on camels or not? You may not know this, but I do now. A tent, which they had in the wilderness, had multiple tents, weighs about 250 pounds. So they're not carrying those old tents as they go. They're on camels. And they go south to the first place mentioned in the Book of Mormon, which is the Red Sea. Now, Joseph's writing, someone's writing, it's either in translation or Joseph's saying Red Sea. He has to know where it is, and is it in a place that he can even get to? Now, if I was writing the Book of Mormon, I was just faking it, I'd say, go west, young man, because 100 miles away is the Mediterranean Sea. Nice and easy to get there, build a boat or a raft, take off. But he didn't do that. South is a very difficult place to go because south is Arabia. And then on the west side of Arabia, it is a hot, arid, no water, little food place to survive. We know that now. We didn't know that in 1829. In fact, the first white person in history who went into the western side of Saudi Arabia was in 1830, 1 year after Joseph completed translation of the Book of Mormon. So there's no notes, there's no, this is kind of what it's like, this is what's going on. But we know from experience now, it's one of the hottest countries in the world. Rainfall is very, very small. Water is almost non-existent. The vast majority of the people live on the eastern side of Saudi Arabia. The western side is barren. And that's what Nephi is going to go through. Can we prove that he really did? And I used fact checks, and as I started, we'll see how that goes in another video coming up. I just want to go through the process right now. They go south. They go to the tip of the Red Sea. Now, you may not know this, but the Red Sea has two little inlets, or gulfs that come off the top of it. One's the Gulf of Aqaba. That's the one they hit. And so they're on the coast. He identifies, we came to the coast. Then they went 3 days, and now he's really playing some things in here. 3 days were in the wilderness and the borders of the land south of Jerusalem. What does that mean? We'll talk about that a little later on. Wilderness and borders. They go 3 days south along the Red Sea, and they come to something that's phenomenal. The Valley of Lemuel, the river of Laman. Did you know there's not one navigable river in all of Saudi Arabia? That means I can't drive a boat up it. There's nothing out there. Streams are almost non-existent, and yet Nephi's spending a great deal of time talking about this valley and this river named after his brothers. Is that true? Can we find that place? Can we identify it? Did it even exist? Did water like that even exist in Arabia as they're traveling? Interesting questions. From there, they went back up to Jerusalem to get the brass plates and back down. They went back up to Jerusalem to get Ishmael and his family and back down. Now they're going to go south again. But they don't go south. In the Book of Mormon, it says they go east by southeast. That's interesting. Why would they use that specific direction? Well, if you look at a map, so here's Jerusalem up here. Here's the Red Sea over here. The Red Sea is tilted. You can't go south because you run into the Red Sea. But if you go east by southeast, you go right along the side of it all the way down. Joseph know that? Again, that's a question for someone to answer. They go 4 days. Now, and let me back up a little bit. I missed one thing I want to add. Camels can travel 25 miles a day, and they're capable of going long ways. So they're on camels. 4 days now on camels is about 100 miles. They find Salzar, which is the name they use in the Book of Mormon. Can they find it? They go from there on further down to the true wilderness. Now, we're told that's when the Lemuel showed up. And the reason for it would be they got to find out where they're going. But it only works if everyone's being good. Nephi breaks his bow. Is there even wood in Saudi Arabia to build another wooden bow? Good question. They keep going on, about 400 miles, and get to a place called Nahom. They name it. This is Nahom. That's where Ishmael dies. And from there they turn precisely east. And he goes in an eastward direction. Why would they do that there? Now, in that experience, they're not lighting fires because they're eating the meat they're catching raw. Why are they doing that? Are there any reasons for that? They get to Bountiful. Is there a place like a Garden of Eden in Saudi Arabia on the Arabian coast that looks like the Bountiful Book of Mormon? I think that's a really good question. So what will we find when we really start looking at that? And in Bountiful, there's got to be vegetables, fruit, seeds of fruit. There's got to be wood that they can build this boat out of. There's got to be ore being able to be manufactured, because Nephi says, where do I going to build my tools to build this boat? And the Lord's going to show him. There's flint to start fires there. There's all sorts of things. And one of the kind of cool things is there's wild honey. That's how it's described. So can you find all those things anywhere along the southern coast of Arabia? Now, we've talked about a few. There are 81 in 1 Nephi, from 1 Nephi 2 to 1 Nephi 18. 81 things that I can say, is that really true? Can I go look and see? So this is a 3-part series. The next group is going to say, okay, there's some men who've done that. What have they found? What does it look like compared to what's exactly in the Book of Mormon? That's the next one. It's coming up next. I hope you watch it. I think it'll be enjoyed quite a lot. Thank you so much.